a series of bouts in which I thought he was maybe the best pound-for-pound fighter in boxing, that side of Pernell Whitaker. And he really was, and you see remnants of that even now.
The speed inside, and when he fought Roy Jones, the two of them were considered the best pound for pound by all the magazines at that time.
We'll be back for round 9. Pernell, I didn't forget about you. We know you're good too.
Well, here's a weapon in the Toney arsenal here. As he waits, Mason goes down, he fires the uppercut.
And we head into round 9. James Toney in the green and Richard Mason in the black. I'm Al Bernstein along with Dave Bontempo. We're not donning our tuxedos tonight. It's more formal here on ESPN.
And this is the way to go.
More casual on the deuce. Hey, there's the punch numbers, and boy, it shows what Toney's been up to.
And he's been consistently around the 60% mark throughout this entire bout. You know, one thing that we're talking about, which weight he'll be at, is that he'll never be able to set this type of a pace and fight how he feels like against heavyweights either. We talked about the punches he would take.
Yeah, good point.
Can't really sit down and take breaks here and there and then go outside and get it going.
Not against the real power punching heavyweights, because one shot could spell the end of things. Mason missing with the left hook. Richard Mason, for his part, has been throwing punches all the way through, and throwing punches that I think he thinks really ought to land. Now, there's a right hand that gets in. But when James Toney is right, no matter what weight he's at, he's very good at slipping punches.
A little bit of the head movement, you got a good illustration of it there. Move it a couple inches, you can deflect the majority of the punch coming at you here. He just lost a lot of the power in his shots when Toney went to the body early in this fight.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Dave, and he really did work the body. More than halfway through round 9. There's only one more to go after this one, and it looks like it will go. There's some of that body work Dave talked about by James Toney.
This is looking like a gym session now for Toney.
That's true, and against a guy who still is trying to wing punches. There he throws a nice uppercut, Mason. And yet Toney has it so well in hand that it does look like a sparring session.
Able to move to the side, slip, really able to see everything Mason is trying to throw at him.
The hook gets in by Toney. Toney has not had to go this long since February of last year when he went 12 with Montel Griffin. Every other fight he's had has ended inside the distance, the longest going 8. Good body work again after the jab by Toney. Clubbing right hand. Mason with the hook, but it doesn't do anything to Toney. Toney kind of walks away, looks down at us, and whacks him with the left hook.
He was going to pull that move we've seen recently. Look off to the right and fire back.
The Lonnie Smith move. And I don't mean the outfielder. We will be back for round 10. Stay with us. Victory over Richard Mason. And we head into the 10th and final round.
And you see again, Mason has been on the retreat since midway through. He comes out early here, retreats to the corner, and then has Toney come at him. And that's why you're going to see Toney dominance here.
Huge edge for James Toney, and landing 60. Oh, did Richard Mason hurt him? He pushed him back. Did he hurt him with that hook? I don't know. Toney looks over at his corner as if to say no. It's hard to tell.
Mason acted as if he did, and he's winging now.
That right hand missed big, as did the left hook. If I'm not mistaken, James Toney's only been down once in his career against Roy Jones Jr. It's the only time I remember. I have to confess I'm going by memory on that. And that wasn't a knockdown in which he was hurt badly.
He has a tremendous chin, something that, yeah, you look at all of his offense, it's an easy thing to forget about.
Nice combo. Blood coming from the nose of Richard Mason. I'll tell you what, I know that this Richard Mason, oh, there's Toney slipping. I know Richard Mason is not a contender, but he is not a bum by any stretch of the imagination. And James Toney's performing very, very well tonight.
He really has made Mason miss a lot, had him out of position, thrown just enough quickness at him at times, just enough power, different looks. Now he's throwing a lot more jabs in this round.
And I'll tell you what, what James Toney's doing to Mason is far superior to what Jimmy Thunder or Orlin Norris did in their victories over Mason. So if you want comparisons, he has done much better against Mason.
He has done all the little things, just enough offense. And you do get the feeling that he can win a lot of fights this way.
Blood spattering here at ringside, and our soon-to-be co-announcer with us, Paul Rodriguez, covering himself from blood. That's something you can help him with because you've been at this game so long, and so have I. We can help him with that.
That's right. Not wearing white to the fights is a good start.
Yes. Darn it, we always have to wear these white shirts. Under a minute left to go. And James Toney, the former middleweight and super middleweight champ, carving out what has been a very, very good win for him over Richard Mason. And Mason has made him work tonight.
It would have been interesting to see what would have happened had Toney gambled and gone for a knockout here.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know if he's capable of it because this guy is not getting knocked out by people, but who knows? So there's only 10 seconds remaining, and Mason's still trying. Give Richard Mason a lot of credit. Blood on the nose. He's been battered over 9.5 rounds. He is still throwing punches to try and win. James Toney kind of grudging in his respect. He's a surly character in the ring, James Toney. He really is. And Mason and that's about as friendly and sportsmanlike as he gets at the end.
And it takes 10 rounds to get that.
Yeah.
Don't even try that halfway through a fight.
No. So Richard Mason goes 10 tough rounds with this man, James Toney. And now let's follow him over. Let's see. I think we're going to get there's a pat on the back. All right. Now, by now, James has said, yes, I respect you. Test. Very good win for that man, James Toney. There's Stan Hoffman, his manager now, his former manager, Jackie Callan, sitting in the audience. She will have her charge Bronco McCart fighting for the WBO junior middleweight title shortly. So now there's James Toney. We assume he's going to be fighting cruiserweights in the future. I think that probably is where they'll try and get him, maybe for a cruiserweight title.
That's where he would be good. He would only have to drop 9 pounds in future fights. That can be done, and it certainly wouldn't take much out of him.
So the cruiserweights champions out there. And James Toney would like to send a message to them that he's on the way. For Richard Mason there, of course, a tough evening. There are the numbers. Really, 60%, very impressive.
And that was that way throughout the entire fight. We didn't see 80% rounds and 20% rounds. He was consistent throughout the entire bout, showing that Toney really knew how to figure this one out.
All right, Michael Buffer in the center of the ring. Let's go to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Lou Filippo scores about 99-91. Robert Byrd scores at 99-91. And Dennis Millsap scores it 97-93 for the winner by unanimous decision, James Lights Out.
And so James Toney gets a unanimous and well-deserved victory. And if you're a cruiserweight out there, look out, he's coming. And if he fights like he did tonight, he's going to make some noise in that division. So we are going to be ready shortly for our main event. Bronco McCart and Santos Cardono for the WBO junior middleweight title. We'll be back. Stay with us.